We are back on Morning Line. It is our final segment with Allison Fields. The number on the screen, 737-7587, if you want to join in the conversation. And if we get a call, we'll grab it. But I wanted to get into this then, too. I'm so tired of all the reports coming out about more of these animals being euthanized. And, the animal rescue, ARC, comes to town and rescues all these wonderful animals.
Yeah, they only come to town when Tennesseans are doing horrible things.
Well, they'll tell you that Tennesseans are wonderful with the pets. They do the best they can, and they're here because people reach out to ARC to come and help.
No. I'm not complaining about them. I just wish they weren't here as much.
I know. And a lot of the animals that are rescued here end up going to the Northeast.
Oh, absolutely.
And why is that again? I know I've asked
because
Scotland
in the
about
Northeast, they have a lot of public funding for animal shelters and spaying, neutering, and things like this. So there aren't stray animals up north.
So as a result, there's a lot of people that want animals, but the shelters don't have a lot to adopt
in highly populated areas like New York City and Boston and these highly populated cities that have a lot of people, and there's not like all this farmland where dogs may be, running around stray. So there's always a demand. People want dogs. There's a demand for dogs, and they don't have them. So there's transport companies that seriously drive around in the South and pull animals from shelters, pounds, whatever, and they drive them up there and they get vetted and vaccinated and heartworm tested and all that stuff.
And adopted out.
And typically they have a person with their name on for that dog before they even get there. They've been adopted just through pictures, and they're gone. They get off the truck and they're gone to their new family. So, it's great that we have transport companies that do that, because there's so many dogs that would be euthanized otherwise without that. And of course, it's great for the people up there because they want to have a dog.
Oh, and the neat thing is, after the fact, a lot of these rescues here will keep tabs with the folks who end up adopting, and then you'll see what the dog is doing after this was one that was rescued here, and it was in tough times, and then it's up there, and there's these pictures with these loving families that are thrilled to get a dog that they couldn't get up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So the bottom line on all this is, it would be nice though if it was more like the Northeast here when it comes to the spaying and the neutering and all of that. And I'm just amazed that still people have their dogs running around out there right now that aren't. And running around, that's the problem.
Right. If they're in their house in their fenced yard and they can't get out and they're not, creating babies everywhere, okay, it's still healthy, and the statistics show that if they're altered, they would live longer. But I'm not going to be as upset about that as, you got your big coonhound running around,
What about some guys who say they don't want to neuter their male dog because it won't make them as tough? What do you think?
I don't hear that as much anymore.
Well, that's probably because when you do, you let them have it.
Yeah. But I used to hear that a lot. I hear it very rarely now, and typically it's from about 25 to 30-ish males.
And what's the truth about neutering a dog? Does it do anything? They're worried that it's going to make their dog not as aggressive. I don't know.
I think all of the bad dog bites that I've ever had are from neutered animals.
I was going to say, exactly, right? So it doesn't really change that. It's a myth.
I don't think so. It can change their metabolism, in the fact that, when you have these hormones and your metabolism is one thing, you take these hormones away and your metabolism slows down, and so everybody's like, oh, if I get her spayed, she's going to get fat. Well, yes, she will get fat if you continue to feed her how you've been feeding her.
Right.
But if we educate you and say, hey, we just spayed your dog today, we'd like you to cut back on her groceries just a little bit from now on, they don't get fat. I have a spayed dog who is not fat at all. I keep her lean, exactly like she should be, because I measure out her food every day, and she gets X amount twice a day,
so you can
and that's
control it's what you're saying, right? So spaying or neutering the dog is going to increase their life expectancy, probably, right? They will change their metabolism a bit to the point where you control it by maybe not giving them as much food.
Right.
Does that mean they're going to be more mellow too?
No, in my experience, no. I have people who come in and say, I have this Australian Shepherd or Red Heeler, who are very busy, smart dogs. They need jobs. And they're like, oh, I'm getting him neutered. It's going to calm him down, right? No, ma'am. let's not get
Don't do
him.
that. We will not calm him down.
Well, not usually. I mean, if it's a puppy and it's coming in at 6 months to get neutered, he's going to go home and be just as crazy as he was.
Yeah.
He'll mellow when he mellows, especially your really high energy dogs, like the healers. They're great dogs. They're brilliant, but they are busy. They need jobs to do, and they're always looking for something to do. And so that's not really going to change that.
All right, if you can, just remind folks the costs involved, which you should consider every time you adopt a dog if it's not spayed or neutered. How much does it cost to spay and neuter a male, female dog these
That
days?
depends where you are.
Okay,
It
and the type of
depends
dog?
Usually how much the dog weighs.
How early can you do it? What's the earliest for a dog?
Most veterinarians in private practice recommend around 6 months of age.
Okay.
Most of the shelters, humane societies, animal control centers, if they're adopting, they will do the neonatal, so they'll do them at like 8, 12 weeks. And they do that because they just don't want to adopt anything out that hasn't been fixed. They don't even want to take the risk that that dog's going out and having babies. That person says they'll get them neutered, but they don't. And so there's a lot of neonatal ones that are done in shelter situations, but most veterinarians like to wait until they get to be about 6 months old.
Okay. And the costs can vary, but we're talking
probably a dog spay is anywhere from $110 or $20 to $350. And the thing is that you have to know what you're comparing. If you call one clinic and they say, oh, it's $300, you call another one and it's $120, well, what's the difference? It may be that this clinic automatically, there's no option. You have pre-anesthetic blood work done to check liver and kidney function and make sure everything's okay. They get an IV catheter, they may be on IV fluids, they get X, Y, and Z. Whereas the other clinic may say, well, yes, we can do all of that, but it's an additional charge. We don't do that. So once you add up everything, it's like buying anything from anywhere.
But it's more expensive than it's spaying if it's a female, right? It's neutering if it's a male.
Correct.
And it's a little more expensive with females, but
it is.
Still, I mean, it's just
an intra-abdominal surgery. Neutering is not. It's a much more complicated surgery than neutering.
Makes sense, yeah, because the other one you get.
Because women are much more complicated.
Much more complicated. But either way, both of them are routine. Your dog's going to be fine, and the main thing is you need to just take that into account with the other costs on the initial.
Right, because you're going to be seeing the doctor every couple of weeks for vaccinations as a puppy, and get started on heartworm prevention, and then get them spayed or neutered. Once your first year is typically the most expensive. You know, if you're purchasing a dog or even adopting one, there's an adoption fee, and then you have all of your costs related to that first year: vaccinations, spaying, neutering, and then they kind of chill out. And pretty much annually, it's food, vaccines once a year, and heartworm prevention and flea control.
That's
and
it,
then they get old.
And then they get old. Allison?
So good to see you, Nick.
As always, a pleasure. Next time she comes, she's going to bring me some candied bacon.
Maybe.
It's good to see you. Take care, all right?
Good to see you.
I'll be back with a programming note right after this. Stay with us.